So, as we continue with the discussion of the uh, three section of books that are called A Course in Miracles, um, we left off with Helen Sukman and Mr. Tedford uh, working on this as it began. And as I said, Helen Sukman really didn't want to do this, but she knew there was another source for it. So in fact, if she stopped it, she would get headaches and just didn't feel well. So she had to do it, and Tetford would come in and write it down. Of course, they wouldn't discuss it with anyone else. But what happened was it became more deeply ingrained in Helen's brain when it came to her. So she felt she must write it down, and she continued to write it. And now, what she got from it as an intuition that it was something not of this world in particular. In fact, it might have been a spiritual source. And then it was an am or I am type of feeling that it was from some source of something religious. And then ultimately, she began to feel this was coming from God, or more specifically, from Jesus. Now, Helen Sukman was Jewish, or at least partly Jewish, and she wouldn't have had any particular interest in Jesus, as you can tell. Now, Tedford and Helen Sukman were both agnostics. Neither one of them had anything to believe in except science and psychology, which they were working with. So that was another odd thing about it. But still, as it continued, something very interesting happened. When she would be taking this down at a certain time of day, she had a certain time for it. She would do it early in the day and then later in the day. But when she stopped and stopped writing it down, the next time she took it up, it would start exactly at the same sentence it left off. Or if you were through a half a sentence, it would bring the next word for that sentence right there. So it was something that knew what it was bringing to her and where it left off. So it continued in a very concise and very perfect way as far as sentences, and eventually, subject wise, it became almost like in the Bible, you have, let's say, the book of Genesis, and then you have a certain chapter on a certain idea, and then many verses. Well, it was like that. You had a subject of a certain idea, and then many things would follow in the same way. So it was very organized as it came to her, and as he wrote this down. So it was quite a few years before it was finished, and then Helen didn't really think she wanted people to know she had done this because of her heritage and beliefs. But after she passed away, Tetford and others thought it should be published, and they eventually did get it into print. Now, what is odd about it is that it is very, very consistently written. This is called channeled material, as you understand, because it was channeled in the sense that Helen Sukman may have wrote down what came to her, but it did not come from her. It was channeled through her from somewhere else. Exactly where it came from, it's hard to put your finger on, but according to what it came to her, it came from Jesus, speaking directly to her about what he wanted only her to write down, but he wanted that to teach other people in the world what was very important as far as the spiritual growth of human beings in the world, not just individual people, but groups of people. So this is the way it all began, and if one looks at it from any particular point of view, and of course I know many people who have and read about those who have, they have mostly said that it is a profoundly consistent book that goes toward getting people into a renewed state of mind from what they are used to. We will continue with this shortly.